So this week has been one for the books when it comes to chaos. Not only did the new horde test drop, but I came down with a cold the same day, and my recording software decided to cause problems I didn't know about until I sat down to edit. So please bear with me. The most recent horde test was sent out to the masses, and much like the previous one, arrived without a server wipe. I logged in to an old dilo I'd grown during the previous test. Not sure how she was previously injured, but that didn't matter. I was going to simply pick a fight and die to respawn as a Maia anyway, just like everyone else. Of course, by the time I got into the server, there were already Maias partially grown, just about everywhere. I put my sights on a very large herd. It was night, and though I could see fairly well, I didn't know what level of night vision Maia had. After waiting in ambush for a minute, one rushed up the hill to eat the nearby plant, and I attacked. Here's a few things I learned very quickly. Maia is way faster than I expected. It also doesn't do much damage with its little flurry punch attack. And also, causing a Maia stampede is absolutely hilariously fun. Anyway, eventually I fled into the forest, and my plans to simply switch and respawn as a Maia changed. See, if most everyone on the map is a Maia, what on earth am I supposed to do with myself as one too? Might as well be a problem for them. Keep them on their toes and give them something to fight. A bit later, I'd moved toward Highlands and spent some time ambushing them beside the bridge. Everyone has to drink sometime, and Maia has incredibly fast water drain. I was pleased to realize that even Dilo, the carnivore with quite possibly the worst agility, can dodge Maia's stunning attacks quite nicely. The younger of the two I was fighting vanished into the bushes, and I continued messing with the larger one. With lower stamina than I felt good about, I could try and chase, but being caught with no stamina is basically asking to be sent to the menu. So I caught his tracks and trotted after him for a short while until I lost his trail. I hadn't been sitting for long though when I spotted the same Maias again. Apparently I'd lost them when they looped around and back to the pond. Silly. Round 2 went similarly to the first one, and I was beginning to realize that hunting Maia as Dilo was a very viable possibility when he fled once again, this time headed for the bridge to escape me. Ah, darn. I hung around for a good while. There was food here, a dead Maia that had fallen by the salt lick, and plenty of water. Might as well attempt to wait him out and hope that others didn't come to his aid. He came back to dry land and I prepared for another spat with him. But he sat in the water, making my job much harder. Couple more bites, and back to the rock. The next time he returned to shore, I started toward him, just in time to spot the adult Maia making his way to the pond as well. Not ideal. But I attacked that one too. Why not? I'd already sent the smaller one scurrying to the rock. May as well test myself against this bigger dude, too. When the smaller one joined in, I sent him packing quickly. Best to avoid fighting both at once. As his stamina got lower, he moved closer and closer to the water, and when he vanished into the bushes, I decided I'd best back off and check my injuries. He crossed to the rock as well, and that was that. Or at least that's what my recording software would have you believe, because what actually happened was they sat on that rock for a while, and I sat there watching them, and then they saw a third Maia coming down the hill, and working together, the three of them finally managed to kill me. But hey, pics or it didn't happen, right? Anyway, I respawned, not as a Maia. A couple times actually, but again, recording software really just said no. By this point though, I was having fun on Dilo, and I wanted to continue attempting to hunt them. I had been tempted by a new challenge, and I had every intention of chasing it. This poor Dilo, though, spawned far away. Far, far away from anything remotely edible. By the time I realized where I was and where I was going, my stomach had almost hit zero, and I was on my way to starving to death. I didn't have long. It wasn't a huge deal, I was only a fresh spawn, but I finally knew where I was and I didn't want to respawn and find myself somewhere far and lost again. I made my way around the reservoir and started up the hill toward Highland Lake, when I glanced over my shoulder and saw a very large Maia coming in hot. Oh, no you don't. Evasive maneuvers activated. I mostly escaped the one, only to run headlong into more. Which would have been fine, but again, when the entire server is Maia, they are going to be dang bored very quickly. I was close to death from starvation when the Maia hit me. Then I realized I actually hadn't died. Oh, I kicked it into high gear because now I was definitely going to die of starvation. But I'm no quitter, and I stopped to sniff. Rotten corpses. Aha! I didn't know if I was going to make it, but I'd already beaten the odds before, and I wasn't giving up now. I got momentarily distracted by a taco burrow. That would be food that wouldn't make me sick. But it took too long and nothing fled from it. Shoot. Back to the rot. One bite. That was all I'd need. I knew I'd throw it right back up, but at least I didn't have a red stomach anymore. I'd bought myself time. I sniffed for a long moment, and then spotted the diets. Aha! Saved. After eating and healing up, I moved toward West Rail. Highlands was too packed with Maias, and I needed to find something that wouldn't immediately mob me to death if I attacked it. There I found another dilo, a juvie, and a small Maia. Okay, I could work with this. I didn't have venom yet, so it would be rough, but maybe there was a chance I could kill the Maia and have a meal. And then, right as my venom came in, a Carno appeared. Nah, nope, there goes my meal. But there was more than just the Maia around the pond. I spotted a Turodon and attacked it, not realizing it had an entire pack to back it up. Shoot. If you know anything about Turodon, you know that underestimating them is a huge mistake. They can and will kill you much more quickly than you'd anticipate. The instant I could see again, I started to flee. I wasn't big enough to even dream of fighting a pack of Trus. But then I remembered that my smaller companion wasn't nearly as fast as I was. I went back for them and did what I could. But Dilo's fight hitbox is so tiny, and Turodon is even tinier. I was hit with another round of high venom stage and had to flee once more. Unfortunately, my young companion went down before my venom wore off, and I returned a final time, hoping to at least snatch a Turodon carcass for the road. Having taken 2 more pounces, I gave up the fight. Survival was more important. I'd find food elsewhere. Later, now close to fully grown, I made my way to Delta River. Here I hoped to find some smaller herds to target. Ideally a solo Maia, but I didn't expect to find many of those, even under the best circumstances. Night was falling and I waited, watching my chosen herd closely, searching for the best place to ambush them. Small word of advice. If you aren't 100% sure you've been seen when someone walks right over the top of you, don't move. Even if they think that maybe they saw something, you are now simply a rock, or a trick of the light. Movement gives you away. As it was, at this time of day, Maia has incredibly poor night vision. As true night fell, and my venom strength increased, I knew the time had come. One of the juveniles got within range, and I attacked. It wouldn't take much to envenomate a juvie, but the adult threw itself into the fray quickly. Perfect. This was what I really wanted. The adult would be a much more interesting fight. He hurt, but not as badly as I anticipated. Within a short time, I got him fully envenomated. Now my venom could do the work, and I only needed to risk my life a little bit. That's if my clones were working properly anyway. And if I could avoid him charging through the bushes wildly as he tracked me by sound. As long as I could do that, and also keep the venom on him, there was a slim chance I could drop him. Eventually, he moved into the open where he could better see me coming. I honestly couldn't tell if my hallucinations were actually working, because the rain made it impossible to hear if he was making pain sounds. Regardless, I kept reapplying my venom often before slipping back out of sight. As I darted into the bushes one final time, though, I didn't realize I was being watched. A reactionary bite to the face of the first Sarcos that peeked around the corner put him to purple. But I was in trouble. I had no choice but to flee. Swimming immediately would be a mistake. Sarcos swims faster than Dilo. I needed to gain more ground on them. I kept sending hallucinations. Now, both at the Maia and at the Sarcos that I'd inadvertently envenomated. I could hear them hitting him, and he ultimately turned back. That was the actual moment I realized that he was envenomated. Well, that was okay. May have very well saved my life. I looped around, hoping to spot the Maia again, but almost sure it had fled when they arrived. I could smell the carcass of the juvie I'd envenomated, though. I was going to need that food, badly. But the Sarcos were waiting for me to move back in their direction. Of course now that I was in a horrendously bad way, that's when I would hit full growth. I needed to survive this. My food was low and I didn't know where the Sarcos were, but I needed to get that juvie Maia carcass and come out of this alive. But of course, I got it to the shore, sending a few more hallucinations while I waited for my vomit sickness to pass. And that's when they jumped me. Again. Nope. I gave up my kill as lost. I needed to find food and water elsewhere. Quickly. But my stamina was already lower than I wanted it to be, and I didn't know if the Sarcos were tracking me. I decided to roll in the mud first, then figure out my water and food situation. This was incredibly dire. I was quite literally feeling hopeless for this dilo. The Sarcos ate both carcasses that I could smell in the area. All I could find were Maias. My food went red, and you could probably already tell from my blood screen that I was literally dying with 0 stamina to boot. And I started the long trek toward Highlands, knowing I'd never make it, but desperately hoping the Gateway would provide for me like it always does. Oh. Why am I telling you this instead of showing you? Well, that's because this moment, the one that really got my heart racing and tested my trust in my own mantra, got yeeted by my recording software, and I only got a nice little 33-second stretch after I found 2 cliff-killed Maias completely untouched right in my path that saved my life while I was in deep red health and starving to death. So anyway, that happened. And now I had a fantastic diet and was well on my way to great health, too. After healing up, I found a fresh spawn dilo in Westrail, and then returned to Delta where I met up with Farmer as well. Alright, we had the beginning of a pack now. This would be good. Of course, 2 of the members of the pack were little still and would need food. But with 3 sets of eyes, it was much easier to spot tiny Maias darting through the bushes, in hopes of escaping the area without being seen. We passed the time hunting smaller Maias, seeking to feed and nourish the small pack so that we would all be grown and could target the larger ones. But my amusement for causing a stampede eventually got the best of me. We spotted an absolutely massive herd, and saw one that was lagging a bit behind the rest. That would be our target. The one that was not running photosynthetic tissue. The one that would fall behind and ultimately vanish. We caught up quickly, but when we crested the hill and saw the actual size of the herd up close, it was intimidating. Boy oh boy though did we incite chaos into their ranks. Babies scattering everywhere, adolescents and subs rushing around, and adults absolutely pummeling their own children that got underfoot. Farmer took a few nasty hits though, and we made for the trees to break line of sight. We weren't done, not remotely, but we needed to regroup. After regaining our stamina and allowing the others to heal, we returned to the open. Farmer and Harper needed food, and the herd had crossed the bridge. As we went to investigate a rotten carcass, I spotted a fresh spawn Maia running toward me, headed for Sanctuary. He wasn't going to make it there. And he knew it. As Farmer ate, I kept watch. The herd was coming back. It's time to go. We looped through the bushes and back around, waiting for our target to return. That slower member of the herd was still running behind the rest. Vulnerable. And there he was, a couple of fresh spawns as his charges. The rest of the herd far enough ahead that they wouldn't immediately realize he was under attack. Perfect. We sparred on the bridge for a short while, until I got him to the third stage of venom. That was, of course, when he realized just how much danger he was in. He started for the herd, and chaos reigned throughout as Farmer and I dodged and weaved through them. But ultimately lost sight of our target. Once more we lost them in the trees and regained stamina, waiting. The herd went to get a drink before beginning their travels further along the river. We lurked, watching, waiting for our target. He was somewhere in the group. He'd lag behind the rest just as before. We'd find him. And so he did, far behind the herd. My appearance sent him panicking as he attempted to catch up, to make them aware of his plight. When they didn't notice, he tried momentarily to stop us before continuing his flight. He had to go down before he reached the herd. If he didn't, we may finally truly lose our chance. Just out of reach. Just a moment too late. He cried for help. And this time, help didn't come. Later that evening, Farmer and I logged into our dilos once more. Mine had had a pretty eventful life, and I was looking forward to seeing what else I could get up to. We came across a herd, fairly decent sized. But what interested me were the two that were lying down. If we could envenomate both, that would be half the battle already won. Of course, we attacked right as one stood up. Ah, a little family. Cute. The herd did their best to fight us off despite their low vision. And as they climbed the rock to try and escape the hallucinations, I spotted the dinos. Mix packers. Now, most of the herd was envenomated, hatchlings excluded, of course. This was going incredibly well. They were scared, huddling together in the dark. I envenomated the last two to the final stage, and we stood back, allowing our hallucinations to do the work for us. When it was time to go back in and reapply venom, though, the final nail in the coffin that was my very long week hit. And that was that. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like and comment your thoughts below. If you're new or haven't already, please consider subscribing for more content like this. Thanks, and see you soon.